Hey everyone! Welcome back to Record Rift, where we dive into some of the most bizarre and intriguing moments in history. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's jump straight into today's story. Now, most people think of wars being fought with guns, tanks, and soldiers, but in Australia, there's one conflict that was fought with birds. Yep, you heard that right. Today, we're talking about the Great Emu War. The year was 1932, and Australia was in the middle of the Great Depression. Farmers, especially in Western Australia, were struggling. Crops were failing, and to make matters worse, a massive invasion was about to happen. Not from enemy nations, but from a very unexpected enemy. Emus. Emus are large, flightless birds that can grow up to 6 feet tall and run at speeds of 30 miles per hour. And in late 1932, these birds were on the march, invading farmland across Western Australia, wreaking havoc on crops and livelihoods. Thousands of emus were reported to be feasting on wheat and other crops, causing significant damage. Now, the farmers had enough of the emus, and they turned to the Australian government for help. So, in November 1932, the government decided to send in the military to help battle the birds. But what they didn't anticipate was how tough these birds really were. The plan was simple. Soldiers armed with machine guns were to hunt down and eliminate the emu threat. They had the firepower, the strategy, and everything they needed, or so they thought. But the emus? Well, they had other plans. Despite being outnumbered and less technologically advanced, the emus were quick, smart, and remarkably hard to hit. In the first few days of combat, only a few dozen emus were taken down, but the birds kept on running. The soldiers' machine guns struggled to keep up with the emus' speed and agility. In fact, after the first few engagements, the soldiers found themselves in constant pursuit, but they couldn't get close enough for a clear shot. After a week of this back-and-forth battle, the military quickly realized they were losing. The emus, with their superior agility and speed, were just too much to handle. They even began to adapt to the soldiers' tactics, scattering in smaller groups, making it even harder for the military to target them. By December, the military had been forced to retreat, and the so-called war was officially over. The emus had won, leaving the soldiers and farmers scratching their heads in disbelief. The Australian government eventually withdrew military support, and the emus continued to roam free, largely undeterred. So, how did a military force with machine guns lose to a bunch of birds? Well, historians point to a combination of factors: the emu's natural speed and agility, the challenging terrain, and the overall lack of preparation on the part of the military. And let's be honest, fighting a bird that's literally faster than you seems like an uphill battle, right? After the war, the emu population remained strong in Western Australia, and the military's retreat led to a shift in how farmers dealt with the emu problem. In the years that followed, other methods like building exclusion fences and using bounty hunters were employed to keep the emus at bay. The Great Emu War remains one of the most bizarre chapters in Australian history. But it's also a reminder that nature, no matter how unexpected, can sometimes be more resilient than we give it credit for. After all, who could have imagined a bunch of birds giving the military such a hard time? So what do you think? Could the emus have been defeated, or was the military always doomed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more crazy historical stories from Record Rift.